Good afternoon. It's April 9th, 2020. This is the Utah Board of Water Resources Board meeting. It is 2:00 p.m. in the afternoon. This is an electronic board meeting. My name is Blaine Ipson. I'm chairman of the Board of Water Resources. Let's start our meeting with a roll call. Board members, would you identify yourself, please?
Wayne Anderson.
Wayne Anderson.
Jim Lemon.
Randy Crozier.
Kyle Stevens.
Juliet Tennert.
Charles Holmgren.
Okay, so we have a full quorum. Oh, well, we haven't heard from Norm yet. Norm Johnson, are you there?
Norm, it looks like you're muted.
Okay, am I there now?
Yes.
Okay, this is Norman Johnson. I'm here.
Okay, so we have all of the board members present and accounted for on this board meeting. This is an electronic board meeting with the COVID-19 situation that's going on right now. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the associated safety guidelines put in place by the CDC, the state of Utah and local health departments, the Board of Water Resource meeting is closed to in-person attendance and is being conducted electronically. As approved by the Utah Governor Gary Herbert through his Executive Order 2020-5, this format is being used in place of the in-person public meetings that usually occur. And so the board meeting will continue on now. Let's go into our agenda. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last board meeting, briefing meeting.
This is Norman. I move approval.
This is Kyle. I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve the minutes and a second on the motion. Norman Johnson made the motion. Kyle Stevens seconded the motion. Is there any discussion on this from the board members on this motion? If not, let's take a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? The motion is unanimous. It carries, so the minutes are approved. Okay, let's go into the feasibility reports. Next item on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, let's do welcome other folks that are here, and I
Okay.
can read them off if that's all right.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Would you please do that, Director?
Sure. The ones that I see on the side here: Ben Merritt, Bruce Ward, Candace Hoschenjager, Carmen McDonald, Dan Woodbury. There's one that says Dent. Eric Dixon, Howard Chuns, Jacqueline Pacheco, Jeff Hardy, Joel Williams, Julie Valdez, Juliet Tennert, Kyle Stevens, Lindsay Russell, Marcy Larson, Marisa Egbert, Marty Bushman, Paul Gedge, Randy Staker, Rick Smith, Russell Hadley, Shalane DiBernardi, Steve Jones, Todd Stonley, Tom Cox, Trevor Nilsson, Tyler Faddis, and Wendy Crowther.
Thank you, Director Adams. Just a house cleaning item or two. As we're going through this electronic board meeting, if you can keep your mics on your phone or your computer muted until you're ready to talk, and then give it about a half a second, unmute it before you start talking. So with that in mind, are there any other housekeeping items, Director Adams, that we ought to cover right now
I
before we
think,
get into the other?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's go into our into the feasibility report portion of the agenda. First item on our agenda under feasibility reports is item RE 434 Salem City. And Marisa is going to present that. So first off, could we have those who are representing Salem City identify yourselves, please?
Bruce Ward with Salem City. I'm the city engineer.
Okay, Bruce.
Howard Shunts, Salem City. I'm on the Salem City Council.
Steve
Okay.
Jones, Hanson Allen and Moose.
Steve Jones. Okay.
And Wayne Anderson, I'm the board member.
Okay, so welcome Bruce, Howard, and Steve with Salem City. Marisa, can you give us the presentation, please?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. And I just wanted to check, the presentation is not showing up completely on my screen. Is it showing up on other screens?
Mine is cut off the left portion over on the
Yeah,
left.
mine is too. Mine as well.
Now it's better.
I've got you on there, Marissa. It's Norman.
Well, we've got Jacqueline's going to pull up the slideshow, and that's what was getting cut off. For those of you that want to follow the slideshow, if you'll go over to the side where it says people in chat, and you scroll down to Jacqueline Pacheco presenting, if you click on the box to the left of her name, the presentation should pop up. For some of those of you that cannot see it that way, hopefully you've got the PDF that was sent out to those participating today. Okay,
This is
Mr. Chairman.
Showing.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this presentation is for Salem City. Next slide, please. As you see on this map, this is just the boundaries of Salem City. Salem City has about 2,500 connections for culinary water. Almost 2,400 of those are residential. And just under 2,300 of the residential connections also have secondary water for outdoor irrigation. They are requesting funding so that they can install about 1,900 secondary water meters throughout their system. Next slide, please. So for the project benefits, there's an expected reduction in use once people are metered and aware of how much water they're using. We've seen this in several locations throughout the Wasatch Front, in particular from Davis County on down to Utah County, as much as 30–40% reduced use just by people being actually aware of how much water they're using. And then they'll have the ability to be able to charge by use rather than just a flat rate. It will also delay the need for the city to do additional infrastructure to expand their culinary system. Next slide, please. So they do have a Water Smart grant for $300,000 towards this efficiency project. That is federal grant money that comes into the state. They are going to put in $270,000, which is actually 15% of the non-grant money. It's 12.9% of the overall. And then they're asking the Board of Water Resources to fund $1.53 million, or 72.8% of the project. And staff recommends that the project cost up to $1,530,000 be authorized, that the board authorized 72.8% of the project cost up to $1,530,000 and that the bond indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $119,000, and that includes reserves. And that is staff's report.
Thank you, Marisa. Salem City, Bruce or Howard or Steve, do you have anything that you would like to add to what has been said? Any additional comments?
I don't have any comments. If there's any questions for us, we're happy to take them. We're grateful for you making arrangements electronically to keep these projects moving.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Board members, do you have any questions for Salem City on this project?
This is Kyle Stevens. I had one question. I just wanted to have the city respond to it, and that is under the existing conditions and problems section. There was one sentence there that says, due to the realized reduction in water use when meters are installed, the city wants to install meters on all of their secondary connections. And so I just wanted the city to respond as to what do you attribute that to?
I think that statement responds to or refers to just, and I'll just be blunt, I suppose, that it responds to the fact that the system users just use what they can and what they want and when they want. And unfortunately, we have the same problem that most cities have that have unmetered systems. We went to a lot size rate, but the meters just gives us the ability to make this a very equitable situation where those that have small lots and water small are treated appropriately, and those larger lots are treated appropriately.
Yeah, but I guess the point I was getting at was the fact that it just brings more, by having a meter there, it brings it more to their consciousness that they're more conservative in their use of water. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, absolutely fair statement.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, that being the case, for the public to participate in this meeting that we are, public comments relating to any of the agenda items, including this one, the public was invited to submit their comments via the online form prior to this meeting started. Randy Staker, were any public comments received online for this project?
No, Mr. Chairman, there were no other comments received.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Any other questions, discussions by the board regarding this project? There being none, I'll entertain a motion on this project.
Okay.
And identify yourself on any
Okay.
motions made, please.
This is Wayne Anderson. And I move that the board authorize 72.8% of the project cost up to $1,530,000, and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $119,000, including reserves.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Randy Crozier. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by the board before we take a vote? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any board members opposed to this motion? Okay, the motion carries. It appears to have been unanimous. Thank you very much, Salem City. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, it's under feasibility reports also. It's project RE 432. It's for the Davis and Weber Counties Canal Company, and Tom Cox from the staff will be giving a presentation on this. Would those representing Davis and Weber Canal Company identify yourselves also?
Yes, this is Rick Smith. the general manager of the company, and I will be solo today due to the circumstances we find ourselves in.
Okay, welcome, Rick. Okay, Tom.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the Davis-Weber County Canal Company provides water to wholesale water to a number of entities, and also they provide their own water to about 16,000 secondary irrigation connections and about 9,000 acres of farm ground. You have the next slide, please. The water is diverted from the Weber River and delivered primarily through the 17.2 mile long Davis-Weber Canal. From about 1980 through 2019, the board has committed approximately $26.2 million to the applicant for canal improvement. The construction of the canal began in about 1884, with sections being concrete lines starting in the 1910s. The applicant has created a list detailing the condition of each section of the canal and prioritizing the needed improvements. It has been active in upgrading the canal, and since 1995, over 75% of the canal has been replaced or rehabilitated. However, sections of the canal remain unlined, or the lining that is there is deteriorating, and the open canal tends to collect trash and is a potential safety hazard as it winds its way through developed residential areas. In some places, the canal seeps into nearby basements. The proposed project is to enclose about 3,400 feet of deteriorating lined and unlined canal and replace about 2,900 feet of corroding and damaged corrugated metal pipe. This will be done through precast concrete box culvert, or reinforced concrete pipe. If you look at the map, there are 3 different sections that are being proposed to be improved. The first section is in the upper left of the map, and it's just south of the Canal Company's Sunset Reservoir. And then the next section runs partly along Interstate 15 and then cuts over into the business section. And that happens to be just upstream of the section the board funded a year ago. And then the lower section is part of the pipe sections that have the corroded and damaged pipe. Have the next slide, please. This is a photo of the proposed lining section. Off to the right, you can see Interstate 15. Next slide, please. Here's another picture of the unlined section, the proposed being enclosed. And maybe noted that some of the cities have actually created trails that run alongside the canal, and it's good to get these sections enclosed to reduce the liability for the company. Next section, photo, please. This is one of the photos of the corrugated metal pipe. As you can see, it's starting to rust and leak in places, and in other places it's been crushed, so it cuts down on the capacity of the canal. Next slide, please. The project benefits include conserving approximately 1,635 acre feet annually, and it increases the safety of the area, and it reduces the operation and maintenance costs for the company. Next slide, please. As you can see, the estimated project cost is $6 million. The company has received a Water Smart grant of nearly $2 million, and staff recommends the board authorize 57.4% of the project cost, up to $3,444,000. and that the project be purchased at 1.71% interest over 30 years with annual payments of approximately $147,800. That's staff's report.
Thank you, Tom. Rick, do you have any additional comments or items you'd like to cover on this project?
Just again, we appreciate the Board of Water Resources and our partnership over the many years of getting some funding from you. And as you can tell, we try to leverage our funding with your funding as well as federal money to stretch those dollars as much as we can. So thanks again.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions for Tom or Rick? One question I guess I had was, do you have your Water Smart grant in hand yet, Rick?
So we actually have 2 Water Smart grants for this section of piping. The first one we signed just last week or 2 weeks ago, and another one we just received, I would say 2 months ago. So we will actually have that contract signed hopefully we hope before October, but in that time period, sometime this year, we will have that second one signed off as well.
Okay, good. Board members, do you have any questions for Rick or Tom on this project? Doesn't sound like we have any more questions. With that, I'll entertain a motion dealing with this project.
This is Kyle Stevens. I'll make the motion. And that would be the board, the motion would be that the board authorized 57.4% of the project cost up to $3,444,000, and that the project be purchased at 1.71% interest over 30 years with annual payments of approximately $147,800.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Seconded by Charles Holmgren.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on this?
Blaine?
Okay, yes.
You forgot to ask Randy if there were any public comments on this?
Yeah, Randy, were there any public comments on this one?
No, Mr. Chairman, no, there weren't.
There were no online public comments. Okay. So no online comments. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Sounds like the motion was unanimous. This motion passes. Congratulations, Rick. Good luck on your project.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay, now we go to the committal of funds. This is project RE416. Again, it's Davis and Weber County's Canal Company. Tom Cox will be giving a presentation, and Rick, you're there again. So Tom.
Can we have the next slide? Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the Davis-Weber County Canal Company operates a secondary irrigation system that serves all of or parts of the cities of Clinton, Kaysville, Layton, and West Point. Since 1980, the board has committed $30.2 million for the installation and upgrade of the system. In December of 2018, the board authorized funds for a project to install a pressure boosting station on the applicant's secondary irrigation system near Kaysville Reservoir to eliminate low pressure issues in West Kaysville. On the map, you can just see the green area, then the lower grayish area with the reservoir in the middle. They're going to be proposing to build a pumping station there to boost the pressure into West Kaysville. With all the construction and residential growth there, they've been experiencing low pressures. The applicant didn't obtain its preferred pump site, so a secondary site was chosen, and since the project was authorized over a year ago, costs have gone up. So next slide, please. You can see the cost estimate has increased about $1 million. And it's proposed that the board commit 85% of the project cost up to $4,250,000, that the project be purchased at 2.41% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $341,000. That's staff's report.
Thank you for that report, Tom. Rick, do you have any additional comments you'd like to make on this?
Our area is continuing to grow. And over the last 30 years, basically, that system in Kaysville, we have not done any major capital projects like this. And so we're kind of catching up based on all the growth. And Mr. Stevens will know where I'm talking about. His area is the area that we're talking about that will provide benefit from this pump station, as well as this also helps us tap into another water resource that we currently have, but don't have full access to. And so this will spread some of our water resources out for the Kaysville pressure system.
Okay, good. Thank you, Rick. Question that I had was, with the multiple projects that you've got planned, we just did a feasibility one and then committal of funds on this one. Financing wise, are you going to be able to make your annual payments? Do you foresee any problems?
Yes, we should be good. Currently, our secondary system and our canal system are we treat them as two separate systems or networks or companies. So secondary has to be self-sufficient. So we've been planning for this as well. We have some reserves on both companies to be able to meet these demands.
Okay, good. Board members, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Rick or Tom on this project? Okay, Randy, were there any public comments on this particular project that were submitted online?
No, Mr. Chairman, there were not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll entertain a motion on this project.
Mr. Chairman, this is Kyle Stevens. I'm prepared to make a motion, but before I do that, just want to acknowledge that as Rick aptly pointed out, I do live in the west part of Kaysville where this benefit will be coming. And so I don't think I have a conflict of interest. If I do, I'll declare that and abstain from voting if the body feels that I do have a conflict.
Kyle, are you a member of the Davis Weaver Canal Company?
And no, I'm not.
Or the Kaysville, but where you receive water from the Kaysville folks?
Yes. I do receive secondary water.
So yeah, Kyle's a resident of Kaysville City, and we're their supplier for secondary water. That helps.
So you probably have a conflict and need to declare that.
Okay, then I'll also declare that and request someone else to make the motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is Randy Crozier. I'd be happy to make that motion.
Okay, what motion are you making then, Randy?
I move that the board commit 85% of the project cost up to $4,250,000, and that the project be purchased at 2.41% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $341,000.
Okay, thank you, Randy. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Norman. I'll second it.
Okay, Norman seconds the motion. Before we vote, is there any further discussion by the board on this, noting that Kyle is reclusing himself from the vote due to a potential conflict? Is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Just note to note for the record that this is Kyle Stevens. I abstain. based on
Yep.
the declaration of conflict.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries. Good luck on your project, Rick, with that. Sounds like a good project. Thank you.
Again, thank you very much.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, if I can ask a question real quick of Rick. Rick, when do you plan on starting construction on both of these projects?
So the canal project would be this fall,
Okay,
and the other one, we're in the process of design for the pump station. So depending on when we can actually close that design out, potentially even during the summer, if not through this winter, and then be operational by a year from now.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
Great.
you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda under committal of funds is project RE 422. It's M&M Irrigation Company. Jacqueline has the presentation from staff, and if M&M Irrigation Company officials who are online can identify yourselves, please. Do we have anybody from M&M?
This is Frank Eliason, President of the Irrigation Company. Troy Prestwich, Secretary, Irrigation Company. Doug Taylor, Board Member, Irrigation Company.
Tyler Faddis, Jones in the Mill Engineering.
Welcome. Okay, Jacqueline, would you like to give us a presentation from staff, please?
We seem to have lost Jacqueline.
Oh, I apologize. I was muted, so I had to exit the screen. Let me go back on the presentation. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I apologize for that delay. The applicant's project was authorized in June 2019. It is located near Mount Pleasant in Sanpete County. The purpose of the project is to replace 3.5 miles of canal with 30-inch HDPE pipe and install a SCADA system and metering devices. The cost estimate and sharing remain as authorized. They received a Water Smart grant for $841,000. The total estimated cost of this project is $1,883,000. Staff recommends the board commit 47.1% of the project cost up to $886,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 25 years with annual payments of approximately $35,500. That is staff's report.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Members, representatives of M&M Irrigation Company, do you have any additional comments on this project you'd like to make at this time?
No additional comments.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Jacqueline.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
The applicant had reached out to me to request modification of terms.
Okay, applicant, you want to talk about what you're requesting there on modification of terms?
Well, we was wondering if for the first 12 years, if we could pay the $15,000 because we have that other loan to help, and then whatever and then I don't have the figures right with me for the next 12 years would be to finish paying off this loan instead of the $35,500 a year, to maybe for the first 12 years to pay $15,000 and a year on this loan.
And this is Troy speaking, is that
It
correct?
is. This is Troy. This is Troy.
Okay. Okay, so you're asking the terms be modified that until the year 2032, when your existing loan is paid off, that you just pay 15,000 a year on this new loan right here, and then your payments would go up after that. Is that correct? Is that what you're asking for?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I can summarize the motion, if that would be helpful.
Yes, please.
So the applicant requests the board commit 47.1% of the project cost up to $886,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 25 years with annual payments of approximately $15,000 for the first 12 years and approximately $54,300 for the remaining 13 years.
Okay, thank you, Jacqueline. Okay, any other additional comments that M&M would like to make on this project?
This is Troy again. Thanks to Jacqueline and to you, Mr. Chairman, and for all your help on this. And if we could consider that payment kind of adjustment for us, I think it'd really help us be able to make our payments and stay in good standing with you folks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask the company?
This is Kyle. What's the payment amount on the existing loan that will be paid off? And then this one jumps up to $54,300 for the remaining 13 years.
Kyle, this is Troy. Right now we're annually paying $42,100 on the existing loan.
Okay, so this adjustment will allow you to be able to make those later on, those payments later on.
I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but after the first 12 years, that $42,000 will be paid off. The payments will go up to around that same mark, so we keep paying almost the same amount of money going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board on this project?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. This is Randy Kroger. It looks to me like their payments would be at $57,500, and they would drop to $54,300 according to the math.
That's after the year 2032, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it would be comparable, yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board on this project? Randy Staker, did we have any public comments submitted online on this project?
No, Mr. Chairman, we did not.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Okay, with that, we'll entertain a motion on this project.
Mr. Chair, I can make that motion.
Okay.
I'd move that the board commit 47.1% of the project cost up to $886,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 25 years, with annual payments of approximately $15,000 for the first 12 years and approximately $54,300 for the remaining 13 years.
Okay, Juliet made a motion. Do we have a second on this motion?
This is Wayne. I'll second it.
We had Wayne and Kyle both same time. Which one is going to make the second?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, this is Kyle. I'll make the second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on this project. Any further discussion by the board before we take a vote? Okay, all in favor of this project, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations, M&M. Good luck on your project.
Thank you.
Okay, next project under committal of funds is project RE423. It's Riverton City. Russell Hadley, if you can give staff's presentation on this, and if you can introduce, have whoever's representing Riverton City introduce themselves, please.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is Russell Hadley. Riverton City is our applicant in Salt Lake County. I believe Dan Woodbury's here. I'm not sure who else from the city is here.
Russell, Jonathan Ward's here as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Next slide. Okay, as you can see, Riverton City has a secondary water system.
Hey, Russell, can we ask you to speak into the mic a little bit better? It's hard to hear.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. Okay, Riverton City has a very well-developed secondary system. All their water comes from Utah Lake. You can see they can pull it out of the Jordan River or 4 different canals. They've got quite a bit of storage. Next slide. City serves secondary water to 10,200 connections in the city. Installing secondary meters on the entire system will conserve about 3,000 acre-feet and will help stretch existing secondary supplies to satisfy build-out conditions. The project will be constructed over 3 years with about 1/3 of the meters installed per year. And since the project was authorized, the sponsors obtained a $1.5 million Water Smart grant. The original cost estimate was also increased based on some more current construction costs. And as shown, the board's actual share did not increase, the percentage decreased, but the board is still just being requested to fund the $11,985,000. And to respond to Juliet's question from our briefing meeting this morning, we're looking at a cost of about $1,600 to install Neptune 10 1-inch meters throughout the city. And that is a little bit higher than we've seen in other places. They think about 30 to 40% of the connections are going to have some kind of obstacle, whether it's a fire hydrant, mailboxes, gardens, curbs, sidewalks, etc. So they're planning on a little bit higher cost this time. And so staff recommends the board commit 76.8% of the project cost up to $11,985,000 and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $929,000, including reserves. That is staff's report.
Thank you, Russell. From Riverton City, either Dan or Jonathan, do you have any additional comments you'd like to make on this project?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jonathan Ward. I just want to say thanks for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board members, do you have any questions on this project you'd like to ask? Okay, Randy Staker, were there any public comments that were received online on this project?
No, Mr. Chairman, there were not.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Okay, with that, we'll entertain a motion on this project.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've moved that the board commit 76.8% of the project cost up to $11,985,000 and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $929,000, including reserve. And that is my motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Juliet. Do we have a second on the motion?
This is Wayne. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second from Wayne on the motion. Any further discussion on the motion before we vote on it? Any further clarification or discussion? Okay, all in favor of this motion say aye.
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 Is there any board member opposed to this motion? Okay, it sounded like the motion was unanimous. The motion carries. This project will be approved as the motion was. Congratulations, Riverton City, and good luck on your project.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is under special items. Our first project there is RE 435. It's Bear River Canal Company. It's an authorization and committal of funds also. Ben Merritt from staff will be given a presentation, and will those who are representing Bear River Canal Company please identify yourself also.
This is Trevor Nelson with Bear River Canal Company, General Manager. I'm joined by Chris Slater and our company president, Jeff Hardy.
Welcome, Trevor, Jeff, and Chris. Welcome today. Okay, Ben.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The Bear River Canal Company is located in Box Elder County. They provide water to approximately 66,000 acres of land for agricultural use, in addition to secondary water for private, commercial, and governmental entities. They worked with the board recently on 2 projects associated with lining and piping the Hammond and East Hammond canals to conserve water, increase safety, and reduce liability. Next slide, please. The applicant is proposing a new project on East Hammond Canal, approximately 5 miles north of Brigham City. The proposed project includes replacing about 2,000 feet of concrete liner with 18-inch HDPE pipe and installing a telemetry-equipped flow measurement, weir, and overflow structure. Next slide, please. The existing concrete liner is undersized for required flows, which causes frequent overflowing from the canal, leading to severe damage, as you can see here in the photo. Next slide, please. Water overflowing, the liner has eroded a pipe, which you can see that dark spot on the right upper hand corner. The water overflows and immediately goes directly below the liner and then comes out downhill a little ways. That can and will cause severe damage to the canal liner. Next slide. This photo shows the destroyed liner as well as weeds that have been pressed down by water overflowing the liner. You can see just above the liner there how those leads, all those weeds are laid down from water just overflowing. Next slide, please. Concrete work on the weir and overflow structure has previously been completed as per the availability of the contractor. It should be noted that some work on this project has already been completed and was the applicant received permission from the board chairman Ibsen and from Charles Holmgren, their respective board member, although the project wasn't authorized yet, and that was due to the March board meeting being canceled, where this project was on the agenda for that meeting. Next slide. This is a photo of the end of the canal where the project will terminate and join with the existing pipe that's already in place. Next slide, please. The project is expected to conserve some water and also increase operational efficiency. It's going to decrease the maintenance and work that's required to operate this section of the canal. Next slide, please. The total project is expected to cost $112,000. The staff recommends that the board authorize and commit 75.9% of the project cost up to $85,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $5,700. And this is staff's report.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Any additional comments that members of the Bear River Canal Company would like to make regarding this project?
And we just appreciate the opportunity to work with you. This is Jeff Hardy.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other comments? Okay, board members, do you have any questions regarding this particular project you'd like to ask either Ben or the company?
Mr. Chairman?
Charles Holmgren. As we discussed earlier today, I am both a shareholder and board officer at Bear River Canal. So I would recuse myself from motion or on this application.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Randy Staker, did we have any online public comments regarding this project?
No, Mr. Chairman, we did not.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, with that then, Charles has indicated, he's declared his conflict of interest on this, so will not be making any motions or voting on this particular project. Do we have a motion regarding this project?
Mr. Chairman, this is Randy Crozier. I move that the board authorize and commit 75.9% of the project cost up to $85,000, and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $5,700.
Thank you, Randy. We have a motion. Do we have a second to the motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Kyle. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second on the motion from Kyle. Before we vote on it, is there any further discussion on this motion? Okay, with that then, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed by the same? Okay, and then if it's duly noted that Charles reclused himself from this vote on that also. Okay, well, thank you. Congratulations, Bear River Canal Company. Good luck on your project. Looks like a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item under special items, it's project RC057. It's Ferran Canal and Reservoir Company seeking additional funds. Tom Cox will be giving the staff presentation on this, and Tom, if anyone is here from online with Ferran Canal and Reservoir Company, if they could identify themselves also, please.
This is Roger Barton. I'm a board member on the irrigation company board. Our company president, Tracy Bailey, has to be excused.
Okay, so we've got Roger Barton on the board, and that you're it then today, Roger. Is that right?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, the Ferran Canal and Reservoir Company owns and operates Millsite Dam in Emery County. And the purpose of this project is to rehabilitate Millsite Dam to bring it into compliance with current dam safety standards. The construction began in the summer of 2017 and was expected to be completed in December of 2018. However, a deficiency was discovered in the spillway design, which has delayed work as it has been redesigned and approvals gained from different governmental agencies. And it has also taken longer for the contractor himself to complete the embankment work. So now it's anticipated the project may not be finished until spring of 2021. These issues and other change orders and expenses related to extended construction have driven project costs up. Have the next slide, please. Have the next slide. And at the time the project was
Tom, are you there? I cannot hear you.
This is Norman. I'm not getting Tom either.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you were muted temporarily. You're good, Tom.
Okay, it looks like the connection was lost. It looks like I'm back. Did you hear any of the things I've been saying?
Nope. Where you left us off was you were just ready to start the slide that is up there right now on cost sharing.
Okay. So as shown below, the project cost has increased from $27.2 million, and that was without engineering, because originally it was understood that NRCS would provide 100% of the engineering and 65% of the construction costs, but they've indicated that they have very little extra to contribute to right now. So that means that an estimated $6,370,000 more of the board funds are needed. That amount of grant money is not available at this time, but the applicant is willing to take out a low-interest loan with the board to cover the difference until the balance of the dam safety grant is available. So the cost sharing now, the cost estimate now has jumped up to $37.2 million, and that includes engineering of almost $6 million. And it's proposed that the board commit 42% of the project cost at this time. I'm not getting video here, so can you hear me still?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So staff recommends the board commit an additional $3 million in dam safety grant from the revolving construction fund, and that the contract be amended to state the board will provide 40.2% of the project cost up to $11,570,000. We'll do this in two recommendations or resolutions. So the second recommendation is that the board commit 40.2% of the project cost remaining after the grant funds are expended, up to $3,370,000 as a loan from the Conservation and Development Fund. The loan will be returned at 0.1% interest with one lump sum principal payment of approximately $3,370,000 to be paid no later than the year 2031. Interest-only payments will be made annually by the company until the loan is repaid, and the board will commit additional dam safety grant funds to pay off the loan as soon as it is reasonably available, but no later than 2030. And that's staff's report.
Thank you, Tom. I neglected to mention, it looks like we also have a water resource engineer that is there representing this project also. Eric Dixon, are you there? Are you online, Eric?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Eric and Roger, do you have anything in addition to what Tom presented that you would like to add additional comments on this project?
This is Roger. We're very interested in completing this project. As Tom mentioned, it's gone on longer than it should have, but we're ready to wrap this up. Things are ready to go if we can finish it by a year from now. We very much appreciate the support we've had from the Water Resource Board and the Revolving Construction Fund. These small irrigation companies could not do such huge projects without some assistance from the state and the legislature. And as this is completed, we've also got a dredging project the state legislature helped fund. And as soon as the project's done, we'll get back to dredging so we can show that this dredging with a barge is cost effective for other companies who are losing water storage through sediment. But just a big thank you to the board and the engineers, Eric and Matt and all others up there. Just helped to try to get this project completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Eric?
I'd just like to echo what Roger said. We really appreciate the board with all the resources and funding and assistance and working with us to get this completed. It's been a major project and it'll be great to get it completed.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Okay, board members, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask Tom or Roger or Eric regarding this project?
This is Norman. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to make a comment. This is a project which has been kind of difficult because it couldn't see under the ground to see what was going on, but it's also underway far enough that we can't get out of it. And these folks are needing it in order to get the water sent down to the end users here this year and next year. So it's going to be a difficult situation to deal with.
Okay, thank you, Norm. Any other questions from the board? Okay, it looks to me in looking at this and in our prior discussion, there are two separate motions that will need to be made individually, one for the grant money component of this project and the other for the loan component of the project. Is what staff's recommendation is, that there would be the two separate components of it. With that in mind, do we have a motion first on the grant component of this project?
This is Norman. I'm prepared to make the motions. Did we have any comments from the public on this?
Right. Yeah. Randy Staker, did we have any public comments on this? Thank you, Norm.
Well, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, no, there were no comments.
There were no comments. Okay. Thank you, Randy. Okay, so we'll entertain a motion first on the grant component of this project.
Okay, I'll give it a shot here. I recommend that the board commit an additional $3 million in dam safety grant from the revolving construction fund, and that the contract be amended to state the board will provide 40.2% of the project cost, up to $11,570,000.
Okay, thank you for that motion, Norm. Do we have a second on the motion?
This is Kyle Stevens. I will second it.
Okay, we have a second from Kyle. Before we take a vote, is there any further discussion or question, clarification on this motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Randy Crozier. I think that he intended to say I move instead of recommend on the motion. If that
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So Norm, your motion is that you move that we commit an additional.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you, Randy. Okay, any further discussion or clarification needed on this motion? That was a good clarification. Okay, all in favor of this motion, will you say aye?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Say aye. Okay, there being none opposed, the voting has been unanimous on this motion. Motion passes. Now the second component of this project, dealing with the loan out of the
Okay. The second, I'm ready. This is Norm, and I'm ready to make a motion on the second portion.
Okay.
I motion the board commit 40.2% of the project cost remaining after the grant funds are expended, up to $3.370 million as a loan from the Construction and Development Fund. The loan will be returned at 0.1%, 0.1% interest with one lump sum principal payment of approximately $3,370,000 to be paid no later than 2031. Interest-only payments will be made annually until the loan is repaid. The board will commit additional dam safety grant funds to pay off the loan as soon as it is reasonably available, but no later than 2030.
Okay, we have a
That's
motion.
the motion.
We have a motion for that, and is there a second to the motion?
I would second that, Jim Lemon.
Okay, second by Jim Lemon. Okay, any clarification or discussion on the thing? For my clarification, I'm assuming, Norm, that on the first part of your motion that it's up to $3,370,000 as a loan, as a clarification. Is that correct?
That is correct. $3,370,000.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, clarification, discussion on the motion which has been made and seconded prior to voting on it?
This is Shalane DiBernardi. I just wanted to clarify, I believe Norm said Construction and Development Fund. I just wanted to clarify Conservation and Development Fund.
That is correct. Conservation and Development Fund.
Thank you.
It is definitely the Conservation Development. Thank you, Shalane. Any other clarifications, comments, discussions? Okay, with that, we've had a motion and a second. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed, say aye. Okay, it sounds like this motion was unanimous, so it will go forward as voted on. Congratulations, Roger, and good luck getting that dam fixed and back in business. Okay, next item on the agenda is. Thank you, Roger. Next item on the agenda is.
Mr. Chair, can we take a break for a second? I'm getting a question from our attorney.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have returned from break.
You're live.
Okay, we're back live.
So this is Todd. We got direction from our legal counsel that we may be out of order, and we need to do a roll call vote for each one of the motions we've taken today. So maybe what we ought to do is revote on the two motions that we did for the Ferran first, and then we can go back and do the individual motions for each of the projects so far.
Okay, let's go back to the first motion on Ferran Canal and Reservoir Company that we voted on the grant money. So can we put that back on the screen?
I'd say just give Jacqueline a minute to get it back up where it needs to be.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna take just a little bit of time and effort to backtrack, isn't it?
Yeah, but we need to make sure we're following protocol. So
right.
I apologize for that, but I'm glad we caught it.
Where it is a unanimous vote, can't we just use the present, the list of those present as the voting?
I asked that, but they felt it'd be better to go back and do a roll call.
Okay.
Okay, it looks like we have Ferran Canal and Reservoir Company repayment proposals up on the screen. Can everybody see those two proposals? Board members, can you see those two?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, on the first recommendation by staff, where staff recommended the board commit an additional $3 million in dam safety grant from the revolving construction fund, that the contract be amended to state the board will provide 40.2% of the project cost up to $11,570,000. That particular recommendation from staff. Any further discussions on that recommendation? Okay, we'll entertain a motion on that.
Okay, this is
just to clarify, the motion's already been made. We just need to record the votes, right?
Is that what we want to do, Todd?
I believe so. Marty, you're on this.
That would be fine. The motions have been made. The only thing we need to do is to take a roll call vote.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we had a motion and a second on this particular recommendation. Any further discussion before we take a roll call vote on it? Okay, let's take a roll call vote on this particular motion, then on the dam safety grant.
This is Wayne. Aye.
Wayne Anderson, state your name and your vote. So Wayne.
Aye, I'm in favor of it.
Wayne Anderson's in favor of it.
Randy Crozier in favor.
Okay.
Jim
Norman Johnson.
Okay, we had two there. We had Norman Johnson voted in favor of it, and Jim Lemon voted in favor of it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Juliet Tennart, aye, in favor.
Okay.
Kyle Stevens, aye. And might I just suggest that you as chairman call for the roll call by individual as opposed to us waiting to respond?
Okay, we'll do. That's a good suggestion. We'll do that, Kyle. So that leaves Charles.
Charles Holmgren, aye.
Okay, so by roll call, every one of the board members voted in favor of it. No one voted not in favor of it. Unanimous vote, motion carries. Okay, the next motion that was made and seconded on the 40.2% of the $370,000. That particular motion, we will take a roll call vote. Let's start with Charles. How do you vote on this?
Holmgren vote aye.
Charles Holmgren votes aye. Kyle.
Aye.
Kyle Stephen votes aye. Juliet.
Aye.
Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Norman Johnson.
Aye.
Jim Lemon.
Aye.
Okay, voting has been unanimous. Motion carries. Okay, let's go back and vote on the Bear River Canal Company authorization and committal of funds then. If we can adjust our screen and go back to that particular screen. Okay, the motion there on the cost sharing and repayment, that the board authorized commit 75.9% of the project cost up to $85,000 and the project be purchased at 0% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $5,700. Okay, Charles Holmgren excused himself from that vote, correct, Charles?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I guess I better as abstaining.
Okay. Okay, we did have that motion made and seconded, but Charles reclused himself from the vote. Kyle Stevens, how do you vote?
Aye.
Juliet Tennert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, the voting has been unanimous with the exception of Charles Holmgren, who did not vote. Motion carries. Okay, let's go back to project RE 423 Riverton City. Okay, this motion was made and seconded that the board commit 76.8% of the project cost up to $11,985,000 and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $929,000, including reserves. Okay, the motion was made and seconded on this particular recommendation from staff. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote?
Charles, aye.
Kyle Stevens, how do you vote?
Aye.
And on that one, okay. Juliet Tennert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, the voting has been unanimous on this particular recommendation. Motion carries. Okay, let's back up to M&M Irrigation Company now. Okay, this particular recommendation from staff, a motion was made on it and seconded that the board commit 47.1% of the project cost up to $886,000 and that the project be purchased at 0% interest over 25 years with this one, we changed it a little bit from staff's recommendation, didn't we? Juliet had a slightly different motion on that, and let me see if I can find.
Yeah.
Blaine,
I think it
I
should.
believe.
Oh, go ahead, Todd.
Sorry, let me help. I believe it was the board commit up to 47.1% of the project cost up to $886,000, and the project we purchased at 0% interest over 25 years with annual payments of approximately $15,000 per year for the first 12 years. Then at approximately $54,300 for the remaining 13 years.
That's exactly what I've got here. Thank you, Todd. So we had a motion and a second on that particular motion. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote?
Chairman Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Thank you. Kyle Stevens.
Aye.
Juliet Tennert.
Aye.
Wayne Anderson.
Aye.
Randy Crozier.
Aye.
Norman Johnson.
Aye.
Jim Lemon. Okay, the voting has been unanimous. The motion carries and passes. Okay, the next one is Davis and Weber County and Canal Company. It's project RE 416. If we can pull that up. And that recommendation, which had a motion and a second on it, was that the board commit 85% of the project cost up to $4,250,000 and that the project be purchased at 2.41% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $341,000. So that was the motion that was made and seconded. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote?
Chairman Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Thank you. Kyle Stevens, how do you vote?
I declared a conflict of interest on this one and abstain.
Okay, so Kyle abstained from this vote due to a conflict of interest. Juliet Tennert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimous with the exception of Kyle Stevens, who did not vote due to a declared conflict of interest. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, let's go up to Davis and Weber County Canal Company project RE 432. And this particular project, as was made and a motion made and seconded, that the board authorize 57.4% of the project cost up to $3,444,000 and that the project be purchased at 1.71% interest over 30 years with annual payments of approximately $147,800. So a motion was made and seconded on that particular thing. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote aye.
Okay, Kyle Stevens, how do you vote?
Aye.
Juliet Tennert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, the voting has been unanimous on this particular project. Motion carries. Okay, we go up to Salem City, project RE 434. And a motion was made and seconded on this recommendation from staff that the board authorize 72.8% of the project cost up to $1,530,000 and that the bonded indebtedness be returned at 1% interest over 15 years with annual payments of approximately $119,000, including reserves. So that was the motion and second made on this. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote?
Chairman Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Kyle Stevens, how do you vote?
Aye.
Juliet Tennert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, the voting has been unanimous on this particular motion. Motion carries by the roll call of, I think that's all of the voting, all the motions that have taken place to date today. Is there anything else that we have missed?
No, I think we got them all. I think that's good. And I just want to make sure that we weren't violating something. And Marty, thanks for keeping us on track. So Mr. Chairman and board members. I apologize for that. We should have been on top of that, but we weren't. So we're next slide.
Brand new experience for all of us. We're learning as we go. Appreciate everybody's efforts with this. It's good. Next item on the agenda, now that we've got all of those things taken care of, our feasible minutes, and well, we need to do the approval of minutes also, do we not? Let's go back and do
yes.
We had a motion to approve our minutes. The motion was seconded. Let's have a roll call vote on that while we're at it. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote on the minutes?
Mr. Make note of an error in the briefing meeting minutes where it says Wayne Anderson is Wayne, and I have not adopted him yet. But with that, I would vote aye for approval of the minutes.
Okay, with the clarification in the minutes that you just brought up. Okay, thank you. Kyle Stevens, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Juliet Tennert, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote on the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience in that. I appreciate each of you in that effort. Thank you. Next item on our agenda, as we're going down now,
Mr. Chairman, if I might, did we take action on the withdrawal report?
We have not yet.
No, we have not. That one is not on the agenda for this particular meeting. That will be on the next the meeting in May. It's a withdrawal of an application in Sanpete County. That was not put on this agenda. It was on the agenda for the March meeting, but it was taken off of this meeting. Is that what you're referring to, Kyle?
Yes, I was just looking at it in the book, and I didn't notice it not on the agenda.
Yeah,
I apologize.
It was not on this particular agenda for today, but it will be in May, on the May meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the Governor's Water Conservation Team Interlocal Agreement. Marcy Larson from Water Resources, I believe you're going to give a presentation on this. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's so great to be hanging out with you guys today. Yeah, so I'm coming to the board with the interlocal agreement, also known as the interlocal cooperative agreement, for the Governor's Water Conservation Team that is tasked with the statewide water efficiency campaign. Next slide, please. So the Governor's Water Conservation Team is comprised of the Utah Division of Water Resources and 7 other agencies that include Bear River Water Conservancy District, Cache Water District, Central Utah Water Conservancy District, Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, Metropolitan Water District of Salt Lake and Sandy, Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, and Washington County Water Conservancy District. Next slide, please. The interlocal agreement is reviewed and updated every 5 years as needed. So this is the 5-year mark. Next one will be in 2025. Parties that are involved includes all the ones that I mentioned previously. And what this interlocal agreement means in a nutshell is that each party will pay annually a percentage of the budget of $300,000 as determined by their population served or represented. However, Bear River Water Conservancy District's contribution is fixed at $4,300, and the Utah Division of Water Resources is fixed at $75,000. Next slide, please. And just wanted to introduce you to the team that's kind of overseeing this entire effort, also known as the We3 team. And we are the Water Efficiency, Education, and Engagement section, and we're dedicated to the public involvement, water conservation, and water education. programs to cultivate a statewide waterwise ethic. Next slide, please.
Go get them, we three.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just kind of the timeline to give you a review. What this campaign is known for is the Slow the Flow campaign. And we came up on our contract with our previous ad agency. So we had an RFP that was advertised in December 2019. We held interviews with agencies in February of 2020, and the contract was awarded in 2020 to Penna Powers. Currently, we're still in the finalizing stages of the strategic campaign plans to determine metrics on the effectiveness of the campaign and to start creatives. Next slide, please. So with all of this, staff recommends the board approve and adopt the interlocal agreement, also known as the Governor's Water Conservation Team Interlocal Cooperative Agreement, with the specifications outlined therein. Okay, next slide. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Marcy. From the board, do we have any questions for Marcy on this?
Mr. Chairman, this is Kyle. How many ad agencies applied under the RFP?
5, but then one was disqualified because they didn't meet the minimum requirements. And then one backed out. So we had 2 final interviews. And then also another one didn't make the cut either.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board for Marcy?
Chairman, I just wanted to comment to say that I'm on the Bear River Water Conservancy Board, and we approved our side of the question at our last month's board.
Thank you, Charles. When you speak, Charles, you're kind of fading out. If you can move right up to your mic on future things. There you go.
I'm pretty close.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions from the board? Hey, Randy Staker, did we have any public online comments regarding this item on the agenda?
No, we did not.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Okay, with that, if there's no further discussion for this right now, we'll entertain a motion regarding
Mr.
whether
Chairman,
to enter into this agreement.
Mr. Chairman, this is Kyle Stevens, and Marcy, if you'll, or whoever's doing the slides, if you'll bring the one back up on the board recommendations with the, there you go. Then I will make a motion that the board approve and adopt the interlocal agreement with the specifications outlined therein.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Wayne. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion made by Kyle, seconded by Wayne. Any further discussion, clarification that needs to take place on this motion before we vote on it?
Yeah, this is Todd. What this does, will have you direct me to sign this, and then we'll put it in the newspaper, and then we'll start work. Once it's gone through that process, then we'll go with the contract and work with the other 7 agencies to move forward.
Okay, so board members, you understand what he's saying, that by our voting on this, we're authorizing Todd to sign on behalf of the board. That make everybody understand that, board members?
Yes.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. With that, then we've got a motion and a second. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote on this motion?
Chairman Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Kyle Stevens, how do you vote on this motion?
Aye.
Juliet Tennert, how do you vote on this motion?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote on this motion?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote on this motion?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote on this motion?
I vote aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote on this motion?
Aye.
Okay, the voting has taken place. Voting has been unanimous. Motion passes. Todd will be authorized to sign on behalf of the board and enter into this interlocal agreement. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the Lake Powell Pipeline Report. And for this, we've got Shalene's going to give us a report.
Good afternoon, Chairman Ipson, members of the board. This is going to be a little bit different report than you're used to. This one actually has to do with the water right for all that water that will run through the Lake Powell pipeline. I have a very short report. Next slide, please. Water right number 41-3479 A30414D represents a portion of the Colorado River water supply allocated to the state of Utah, with a point of diversion on the Green River at Flaming Gorge Dam. But this right is being held for use in the Lake Powell Pipeline project. The application that I have presented to you is to seek approval for a point of rediversion at Lake Powell and to change the place and nature of use for the Lake Powell Pipeline project. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the board approve the change application as written and authorize the chairman to sign it and file the change application with the state engineer's office. And that is staff's report.
Thank you. Appreciate that report. Any questions from the board on this particular recommendation? Now, this one is slightly different from the previous interlocal agreements. This motion, you will note, would have the chairman sign the change application, whereas the interlocal agreement we just passed a motion on a minute ago is with the director. So there is that slight difference in this, you'll note.
And I would add that the only reason for that is because this water right is owned by the board.
Yes, it is. That's exactly right. Thank you. Any questions on this? You all got a copy of the change application. Did you have any questions or want to discuss anything on the particular change application, board members?
No, I understand. It's just so that it can be published. Is that correct?
It's so that it can be filed with the office,
Yes.
with the water rights office, and then yes, it will be public. There will be allowances for protests and the entire process that will be gone through.
Yeah.
But yes, this makes it an official public document.
Right.
Yep.
And we do have attorneys on the line, Julie Valdez from the Attorney General's office, and Wendy Crowther, who also advises the Washington County Water Conservancy District. They're also in the meeting if anyone has questions for them.
Questions, anyone? Randy Staker, did we have any online public comments regarding this item on the agenda?
Not that I can see. There was nothing there.
Okay, no public comments were presented online on this item on the agenda. Thank you, Randy. Okay, with that, we will entertain a motion regarding this recommendation from staff that we file a change application.
Okay, Jim Lemon will make that motion. And I make the motion that the board approve the change application as written and authorize the chairman to sign and file the change application with the state engineer's office.
This is Norman. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion made by Jim Lemon, seconded by Norm Johnson. Any clarification, discussion on this particular motion before we vote on it? Seeing that there is none, we'll take a roll call vote. Charles Holmgren, how do you vote?
Chairman Charles Holmgren votes aye.
Kyle Stevens, how do you vote?
Aye.
Juliette Tennert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Randy Crozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Norman Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jim Lemon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We've had a roll call vote. The voting has been unanimous with all voting in favor of it. Motion carries, so we are now authorized to sign and file the change application with the state engineer for the water right for the Lake Powell pipeline project. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
all.
your on this. Thank you. It's been a big project. Okay, next item on the agenda were the director's report. Director Todd Adams.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. And again, thank you to the staff and you board members for helping us limp through this. I apologize we didn't catch that earlier. We should have, but we do need to make roll call votes on electronic meetings just to cover the rules that are out there. So thanks to Marty for catching that and helping us stay on top of things. Just give you a quick update on the water supply. As of today, the statewide average is about 104% of normal. Normally, the reason I'm doing this, normally we have an NRCS snow report. We decided because this is electronic, we weren't going to do it this time. So I'll just kind of quick and read you a little bit of in the latest forecast of what's out there. 104% statewide. North, it's about 105. South, about 104. We go from a low of about 90 to a high of 134 in the Virgin River. Precipitation statewide has been about 93% of average. On the precip, the really good news is reservoir capacity and storage is at 83% as of right now or the beginning of April compared to 66% last year. So, you know, last year's water year was really, really good and helped us get up quite a bit. Now, we know there's some reservoirs that aren't burned as well, but we're doing pretty good. The runoff forecasts aren't quite as good. They range from 70% to 136%. The lowest areas are in the Price, San Rafael, Muddy, and Fremont rivers. And the high end is severe near Kingston, and it's the most optimistic with 136% of average. So, you know, we still have a little bit of April to come. We hope it'll continue to rain and snow, and I guess it probably still is down there, Blaine.
Bring it on.
I think at our last meeting, we talked a little bit about having a board tour in Washington County this summer. That or over in Blanding, that has been changed. We are going to be having a board tour in October 8th in the Washington County area in conjunction with our board meeting. Our next several meetings are May 14th, June 18th, June 6th. They're in the board folder that was sent out and online. Again, I want to reach out to our awesome staff that are getting us through this COVID-19 and earth shaking. When the earth starts moving here in our office, we did lose things off the walls. Some of the light fixtures fell down. It was very unnerving. Even some of the aftershocks at 3.3, 3.0, you could definitely feel. Lindsay and I were laughing a couple times because she sure it was shaking, and I said, "No, it's just a truck driving by." We smiled and laughed, and we're getting through it. But you know, we have awesome staff, and we're working through this, and we'll continue to do that. I want to thank each one of you for putting up with this trial. This has been crazy. I hope that we will be able to meet in person in May. I'm not counting on it, but we'll be prepared to do whatever we got to do next time. With that, you know, we've been working on Lake Powell. We've been working on some state water plan stuff, and we'll hope to have some more presentations for you in the next meeting. That's my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good report. Water bank legislation passed. Is that correct?
That it did. Candace, are you on here? Want to give a status on that?
Yes, the water banking legislation did pass. We are working with the Bureau currently to finalize our BOR Water Smart grant. And we are also kind of anticipating what will happen in this special legislative session. as far as budgets and all those issues.
Thank you. We have not received any applications with the water banking, I'm assuming.
No, we have not. It doesn't go into effect until July.
July,
1st.
right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well, with that, I appreciate everybody's patience, understanding on this, our first really electronic board meeting. It's been a learning curve for all of us. I think we've accomplished some good things. I really appreciate everyone's efforts and all that went on today, not just with the electronic meeting, but with all of the things, the projects, the feasibility reports, the committal of funds, special items, and the agreements and the change application. There's a lot going on right now. Your platters are full. I appreciate each and every one of you and your efforts, and look forward to our next board meeting and great things to come. It'll be interesting to see if we do it the same way or if we're able to meet in person. Any board members have anything you'd like to add before we close? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to close.
I'll move to adjourn, and good job on managing the meeting.
Well, thank you.
Kyle.
So Kyle moves to adjourn. Got a second? Okay, meeting adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all. It was
Thank you all.
good. Did well. Bye.
Stay safe, stay healthy, be positive. We'll get
There
through
you
this
go.
together.
Yes, we will.
Really good job, Blaine.
Thank you. It was interesting. we learned.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was.
To make it legal.
Yeah, do you want a roll call on adjourning? Do we need one of those, Todd?
I think you've already lost some.
Yeah. Is Charles still there?
My mentor, Dee Hansen, used to tell us at the end of every meeting that it was not a debatable motion, did not require a second, and he would declare it adjourned.
I think that's the rules of etiquette on that. That was my understanding too, but meeting adjourned. Then.
Sounds good.